Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Dabe and welcome to this video. So I want to start off by mentioning that this is not the typical style video that you'll be seeing on this channel. If this is your first time on my channel, most of the time it's just progress related videos and whatnot, but this is something that I've been wanting to actually make for a long time. The footage you're going to be seeing in the background is just random Inferno footage and other things, just to make sure it's not a boring blank PNG screen. So this video is going to be about highlight channels, the ones that exist for old school. I'm going to briefly mention highlight channels and reaction channels in other categories as well, and it's going to be giving my opinions and the opinions of other content creators as well, some of which are only streamers, some of which are both streamers and YouTubers, just so you guys know that this isn't just, my opinion. I feel like it adds a lot more validity to have the opinions of several people in something like this. To highlight this, these are opinions. I really want to make sure that that's clear. These are the opinions of me and other people. If you agree with them or disagree with them, that's fine. You're entitled to whatever you believe in, but feel free to leave, your opinions on this down in the comment section below. As I'm going through the questions, you can answer them as well, and you can just give your opinions on these channels. So the reason I'm talking about this, and the reason that I think it's such an important topic, is because of fair use. Now, fair use, if you don't know, is defined by the U.S. government website for copyright as, in U.S. copyright law, the doctrine that brief excerpts of copyright material may, under certain circumstances, be quoted verbatim for purposes such as criticism, news reporting, teaching, and research without the need for permission from or payment to the copyright holder. Now, what this means in layman's terms is basically other people are allowed to reference or use your creation as long as what they are creating with it is different. If someone is taking your video and reacting to it by adding critical input to it, that is different. However, if someone is just taking your video and re-uploading it, that wouldn't be fair use. It would be just theft, which is the problem with some of these channels. Now, there are a lot of reaction or highlight channels that don't necessarily abide by this, and that's what makes them such a problem. However, an example of a channel that does this properly and a big win in terms of fair use is actually H3H3 Productions. Now, I'm sure most of you guys know about this channel. If you don't, I'm going to leave a link to the video I'm referencing down in the description. But basically, they're a very large channel. They take various videos on the internet that are funny or just memes or just things that they find interesting, and they will react to them. Now, their reactions aren't the typical show the video and just talk while the entire video is playing, because that, once again, doesn't follow fair use. They'll show a small clip of the video, they'll make some comments on it, they'll laugh about it, point out things they think are funny, cut back to the video over and over and over again, which is why it follows fair use. The reason I bring this up is because somewhat recently there was actually a lawsuit regarding one of their videos. Now, the person that was suing them either didn't think they followed fair use or just didn't like the critical commentary that they had about his particular video, so they decided to sue him and say that they were violating fair use laws. Now, they won this lawsuit because of their style of video, and their commentary and their humor was quintessential to the video being different from the one that they were reacting to. Another example that is in the RuneScape community that you guys are aware of are Chris Archie Prods and Sparkmanic Live. Now, these channels are fair use because they don't just take these clips without permission. People submit the clips to their channels and give them permission to use them, which is why they are perfectly fine, and I want people to know that this video is not taking shots at either of those channels because, once again, they obtain permission to use those clips. Some of these highlight channels think they're following fair use laws because they simply put the name of the channel that the clip came from on the screen. However, this is obviously not fair use. That would be of likeness to me taking a video that is very popular, like one of Frame's videos, and just re-uploading it to my YouTube channel and just simply putting his YouTube name on the screen. That doesn't make it my content, that still makes it his content, and I would just be trying to profit off of those views, which is obviously very unjustified. Now, before I get into the responses of the YouTubers and streamers that I talked to, I'm going to briefly mention my personal experience with this and how these people taking my clips has ruined some of my content. So here's some examples of the times that I've copyright struck videos because they used clips. And when I say ruined my content, especially as someone who is a PVMer, you put a lot of time into getting footage, and there's usually one or two really big highlights of every video, regardless of if you're talking about RuneScape or another game. Usually one or two really big highlights of a video that you want people to click on the video for. And if everyone already knows what's going to happen, it does ruin the effect of your video, and not just necessarily the effect, but less people might actually click on it in the first place if they already know what's going to happen. The counter-argument that a lot of people have to this is simply, if you don't want your footage stolen or to appear on highlight channels, then don't stream. Now, this doesn't seem really fair because according to Twitch terms of service and YouTube terms of service, you're not supposed to be posting things that are not your intellectual property. Now, what that basically means is the streamer who is creating that footage and making that content is the intellectual owner of that creation. And no one else can use it unless they are given permission or following fair use laws when changing it. It should also be noted that from my personal experience, I never really go straight to striking a channel. I would always message these people or try to come into contact with them if they have a way of coming into contact with them, and tell them or ask them to remove the video, or at least remove my portion of the video so that my clips don't get spoiled before I went and strike their channels. I didn't just go straight to striking them. Another thing I want to mention is that not all highlight channels are bad, just the ones that don't follow fair use laws. And I want to make sure that I'm highlighting that throughout this video because it is very, very important. A lot of highlight channels actually do follow fair use, and they talk about the plays being made in a certain situation in a game, or why the clip is such a good clip. But in my experience from all these RuneScape highlight channels, all they do is just copy-paste clips in there without adding any sort of commentary or criticism whatsoever. It's also worth noting that some of these channels also promote gambling and RWT sites, which, in addition to being against RuneScape rules, is strictly done so they can make as much money as they can before their channels get a copyright strike and they're no longer allowed to make money through monetization and ad revenue. A personal situation of mine that really emphasizes just how desperate these channels are to make sure they have no copyright strikes on them is right here, when this channel actually offered me a bribe of $100, which was later worked up to, I think, $250. Obviously, I never accepted this bribe, to remove the strike that I put on his channel for using my footage without my permission. Now, if someone's willing to offer $250 just to remove a strike from one video, that should really tell you guys just how much money these people are truly making using footage that isn't theirs. Alright, so now on to the opinions of other content creators and what they think of this, because I was curious, and obviously I wanted to make sure that this video was not just my opinion from my personal experiences, because there is a potential that some people had positive experiences from this. So the people that I talked to, keep in mind, I've been working on this video for a long time, and some of these responses are extremely old. Not extremely, but I'd say about 6 months old, because I was intending on making this video a long time ago. So the people I talked to were a friend, Pugger, AsianRiceCup, Mint, Mad Cow, Framed, Gunschilli, Sicknerd, Zulu, and GuidesForUsAll. First of all, I didn't really know what to put in the background here, so enjoy this gif of me fishing over and over and over again. Instead of going through each question and showing every content creator's response to each question at a time, I'm going to go through the responses from each content creator. So if you guys want to see the list of the questions, I will have them down in the description below, but for now I will just read them off. The first question: are you aware of the highlight channels that exist on YouTube? Have you ever been included in one of these videos? Did the creator of that video ask permission to use your content? If they did not ask permission, does it bother you that they didn't ask permission? Have you ever tried to file a copyright claim on one of these channels? If you haven't, why? As in, did you not feel it was worth the time, you didn't want to leak personal information, or what was the reason? Are you aware that these channels are monetizing the content that they are using? Some of them in the RuneScape community are making upwards of $50,000 a year from that. Do you think that these channels create a positive environment or advertisement situation for your channel, and what are your overall thoughts on these channels? So the first content creator that I talked to about this was a friend, and this was a while ago. I'm surprised he got back to me because this was in the time when he was really hyped on his Hardcore Iron Man and everything. But his responses to the questions were as follows, and like I said, keep in mind the questions will be in the description. I showed them all before, but I'm just going to be doing it like this instead of reading off the questions every time, since that would be a little inconvenient. So his responses were as follows: yes, he is aware that the highlight channels exist, and he hasn't been included in any of them because he doesn't really stream very often, so he obviously didn't have an answer to question 3. For question 4, he said it wouldn't bother him if it was a meme or discussion or remix video, but if it's just a straight re-upload of his stream or YouTube video, then yes, it would bother him. For question 5, he said yes, all of his takedowns were successful and took no longer than 24 hours to process. He had an old vid from 2012 about some JMod drama that he removed and others re-uploaded. Question 6, he did strike them, so obviously no response there. Question 7, yes, if they are greedy with ads, they can get up to $3 to $6 per 1,000 views, minimum 2.5. So as someone who's been on YouTube a lot, I'm sure a friend knows a lot about CPM, which means the amount of money you're making per 1,000 clicks. His answer to question 8 is, if a streamer makes no YouTube vids, I would see this as a positive advertisement. That doesn't make it right, though. You should always ask for permission. But many streamers do make YouTube videos. I used to watch Mr. Mamel's videos, but now I get good drops and moments recommended before he uploads his own content, so I already know what's going to happen half the time, which makes the videos boring and predictable. Wook's got his Infernal Cape, which had 170,000 views on a random channel, and only 50,000 views at the time on his own channel, because people have already seen the video elsewhere. His overall thoughts on the channel were that they're good if the channels get permission from the streamers, and he wouldn't really mind. He encourages the owners of the video footage to start filing copyright claims to take down the channels if they use your clip without permission or not in fair use, as in they didn't have commentary, which it takes 3 takedowns to close a channel. So it seems like a friend is fairly opposed to these channels. Alright, so the next person I talked to was PuggerRS. So once again, if you guys don't know any of these people, make sure you check them out. PuggerRS is an Iron Man endgame streamer, and he's a very nice guy, so I'd strongly recommend checking him out, but let's get right into his answers. So Pugger did say that he was aware of the highlight channels existing on YouTube, and that they have used his content multiple times. So once again, in Pugger's situation, the creator of the highlight channel that used his content did not ask permission, and he said it didn't really bother him that they didn't ask, but it would be very different if he made YouTube videos, but he only streams. So in Pugger's situation, he's actually never filed a copyright claim against any of these channels, and the reason is because he really doesn't mind seeing his Twitch clips on those channels. Pugger also said that he was aware that these highlight channels were monetizing the content that they were using. As for whether or not they create a positive environment surrounding his channel, he said that he hasn't seen any negative stuff towards him from the videos, and there have been a few people who have come up to him in-game to say that they saw him on the highlight channels. And Pugger's response to his overall thoughts were that he didn't really mind the channels, as he said it would just be a very different story if he made YouTube videos because they spoil the clips for upcoming videos. So I asked him one more time just to be sure if his answers would be different if he was a YouTuber and not just a streamer, and he said yes, they would be very different. So as someone who is just a streamer, it seems like Pugger is fairly in support of these channels. However, if he was also a YouTuber, he would probably be in opposition. The next person I spoke to, his name is Ree. You guys probably know him by AsianRiceCup. He's a good friend of mine and has actually recently gone full-time with streaming and YouTube on his also endgame Iron Man account. So jump right into things. Ree was aware of the highlight channels that exist on YouTube, and he has been included in several of them. 2 of the people who included him did ask his permission, but others have not, which bothered him because people are profiting off of his own clips without his permission or even his knowledge. So, similar to a friend, Ree has actually striked some of these channels before, which means his answer to question 6 is obviously irrelevant, and he is aware that they are monetizing the content that they are producing, as he indicated earlier. So, in response to whether or not these channels create a positive environment, Ree said that they provide easy access for people to stay up to date with artist-related things. However, the way that many of these channels do it is inappropriate and outright stealing other people's content, which I would imagine means that he does not think that they are a very positive thing for him. As for Ree's overall thoughts on the channels, he thinks that they should always ask permission before they use clips, and as for people who are streamers that are also YouTubers, it's detrimental to their content, because they need those clips to make their own videos. To continue on, Ree said that the highlight channels cannot be allowed to take other video makers' clips without the original video maker's permission and the actual owner of the clip consenting to it being posted under their own terms. In Ree's example, he has no problem with them using the clips if, once again, they ask for permission, but also only post them 3 days after Ree has already made a video on them. Obviously, he wants to do this so that he can generate the hype and whatever around the content that he has created without other people doing so first. If they don't follow that, he will file a copyright claim because it's not their content and there's no justification for posting it without permission, especially if you are generating revenue. So this is another streamer who is also a YouTuber who wouldn't mind these clips as long as they followed fair use and permission was given for them, but otherwise he seems in fairly large opposition to these highlight channels. Alright, so here's one that is, let's just call this a little different. So, I talked to Mint Mad Cow about this a long time ago, and then since it's been such a long time because of my wedding and everything, I decided to ask him if he wanted to change the answer to any of his questions. He didn't exactly have a solid response, as in, like, he didn't answer them all individually, like other people did, but he was very colorful in how he described how he feels about these channels. His response was, yeah, I know these highlight channels exist and they're legit taking over the RuneScape YouTube. I legit just uploaded a video and got 3K views in 24 hours, yet their vids with little or no work exceed 30 to 50K views with stolen content. It feels shitty, but it seems the best way to creep up in the RuneScape world is to cheat. If my videos weren't affected as much, I wouldn't mind, but everyone watches these videos, which always include and advertise the top RS streamers, which just advertises the big people over and over again on the Twitch platform. Either way, it's a lose-lose for my YouTube and Twitch, so I'll be working at McDonald's soon. My response was, I appreciate your input, to which he said, if you stop by, I'll hit you up with some free fries. So I think it's a fairly safe assumption that MidMadCow, not a big fan of these channels. So let's go ahead and move on to the next person on our list, which you guys might know him. His name is Gunschilli, aka Tom. I want to start this off by saying Gunschilli is an amazingly nice guy. He has some incredible videos on YouTube and actually recently started a Hardcore Iron Man series. So if you guys don't know him, you should definitely check him out. His editing skills are out of this world and have definitely really upped the creative bar for a lot of RuneScape YouTubers. Yeah, thanks a lot for making me work harder, Tom. But his opinions, I want to start off by mentioning, were based on experiences that he had where people did actually ask him for permission. So in the beginning, I think there was a little bit of a disconnect between what I was asking. Also, the channel that he was thinking of specifically put their own spin on it. So originally, I don't think he understood the channels I was talking about directly. I also have a very good recollection of him mentioning that anytime he knew he was going to get an exciting moment, such as whenever he got an unsired from the Abyssal Sire boss, he would make sure that he played Beatles music in the background so that none of the highlight channels could just rip it off without asking him, because obviously it would be copyright striked instantly if he were to do that. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But let's go ahead and get right into his responses, bearing all that stuff in mind. So as you guys have seen the answers to these questions plenty of times before, I'm not going to go through them all for every single person as we continue on through this. The only differences are that Gunschilli said that people have actually, one person asked him one time to use his content, and it didn't really bother him that no one asked, and he never tried to file a claim. Now, he didn't think it was worth the time or right to do so, and this is where things get a little bit different. He actually thought that these channels, in his opinion for his channel, specifically actually helped him, which is kind of different to what other YouTubers and streamers have said so far. When asked about his overall thoughts, he said that he had mixed feelings about it because he knows that being on these channels has helped him directly because people have actually come up to him and told him that they recognize him from those channels, which he's a charismatic guy, so I can understand that. However, he does understand that a lot of these channels produce cheap and easy to create content, so even though there are some that really do put a lot of effort into what they do, the majority of them probably do not. So from his perspective, he's actually more concerned from people stealing from him creatively, which I assume means stealing his ideas for series. And on RuneScape, creativity and originality is pretty hard to come by. However, that being said, as for the argument that clip channels ruin the video, he says that as a viewer, you should avoid watching highlight channels entirely if you don't want to see spoilers. It's a two-way process. The highlight channels know they'll keep making money, so they won't stop. So it's down to the viewer to actually choose what they do and do not want to see. So I'm not going to stick every single response to the rest of this on screen because this is just us kind of actually having a little bit of a back and forth, so I'm going to summarize it a little bit. So when I mentioned to him that he seemed to be the only person who also did YouTube on top of streaming who doesn't mind the channels, he said, well, obviously he wants original content to thrive, as do we all, and especially knowing that he has an original series, which if you guys haven't seen it, In Debt for a Pet, strongly recommend it. I understand where he's coming from. So he feels that for him personally, since these channels just offer the highlights, his videos aren't just about the highlights. If you guys haven't seen his content, like I mentioned before, his videos are heavily edited, he does an amazing job, and he's a fantastic content creator in that sense. So even if people see the direct highlights of what happens on his streams, his videos will still be entertaining to them to watch. So he felt like if these people are doing things and they're breaking laws, they should be punished, but if there's nothing to be done, then he should just focus on bettering himself as a content creator. When I asked him what he thought about channels that directly took content instead of doing things that he thought some of the highlight channels were doing, like editing and whatnot, he said that he definitely would be more against them and thinks that they wouldn't benefit his channel very much because if they're just directly spoiling content, that's very different than a highlight channel actually giving their own creative spin to everything. So Tom's response was a little bit different than a lot of the other people who just make the more generic videos, which is, get the clips, post the clips. But obviously I think that's because he has his own creative spin that a lot of people just can't match and simply won't ever be able to match. So moving on from that, we're going to take a bit of a divergent path and we're going to head over to someone on the other side of the community, Framed. So here's the guy who hardly needs much of an intro, but I'm going to give him one anyway. I'm sure you guys all know Framed. He has been really killing it with some amazing series lately. He has been around for ages, and he is just one of the best and most creative PvP YouTubers that exists. So let's go ahead and get into his responses. Let's go ahead and get started. Just like with everybody else, Framed is definitely aware of these channels. He has been included in numerous videos, I know that for a fact. He has never been asked to be included in any of these videos. He doesn't personally have a problem with the fact they don't ask, but he does think it's an issue, and he's never filed a copyright claim. Now, I know for a fact when I was talking to him more, he said the reason he didn't want to file claims is mainly because he didn't want to give away his personal details. I know he's definitely expressed interest in wanting to file copyright claims against some of them, But the thing about filing a claim is you have to give away personal information, and we all know, especially in the RuneScape community, giving away personal information can be very risky to the security of your account. So I understand full well why he wouldn't want to do something like that. He was also aware that the channels were making money, and for him personally felt like they don't advertise much of anything at all, or their advertisement situation isn't really beneficial to the people who they are claiming to advertise for. So Frame felt like he had an opinion in the minority in that he doesn't really feel like the channels negatively affect him very much. He just thinks that ultimately they should ask first and shouldn't profit without asking. He made a point to mention that not every single one of his big PKs gets included into these highlight channel videos, and I think that that's worth noting because I'm sure that as a PKer he's generating a lot of really cool kills, so having one or two of those cool kills spoiled is a little bit different than having a PVMer who's been grinding a boss for 30 hours or 40 hours or hundreds of hours to get a pet, having that moment spoiled by a highlight channel. I can definitely feel that there's a little bit of a difference there. Framed has definitely indicated on Twitter that he is not the biggest fan of these channels and seems like he definitely wants to start taking a stand against them, and is actually one of the people who encouraged me to continue working on this video. So thank you for that motivation. But let's go ahead and move on to the next person. Once again, thank you for the responses. So now for someone who is very well known in the streaming community, but maybe not so much in the YouTube community, Mr. Sicknerd, who's actually, I believe, one of the top 3 streamers in the RuneScape community, just purely in terms of both my personal enjoyment and for his sheer number of viewers and everything that he gets. He is a fantastic player, is currently running a hardcore Iron Man after his last one died to a very, very unfortunate DC, and was, once, rank 1 overall, by the way. Sorry, but I felt the need to mention that. So like I said before, I want to make sure I get the opinions of people who are also primarily streamers, as opposed to people who are primarily YouTubers. And even though Sicknerd has recently started making a highlight channel on YouTube for all of his stream content, which you guys should definitely check out, he definitely still focuses a lot more on streaming. So I wanted to get his opinions on the matter because obviously they're going to be different than someone who makes videos themselves. So as with basically everybody else that we've talked to so far, he is aware of the highlight channels. He has been included in the highlight channels. He was not asked for permission. However, for him, he's not really bothered that they didn't ask, but he just feels it would be nice if they did, kind of a common courtesy thing. He never filed a copyright claim, and the reason for that is, as I said before, since he's basically just a streamer, he felt like it was too much effort, and these channels don't really negatively affect him very much, since YouTube videos wouldn't really hurt his streaming channel at all. When I asked him if he was aware of the monetization situation, how much money these channels were making, he said he was aware and he'd rather they didn't make so much money since they're not offering original content. And as for the advertisement situation, he said that they really only provide a negative advertisement environment if they're using their channel to promote things like gambling and bot clients, which some of these highlight channels do, as I'm pretty sure I mentioned previously in the video. Now, as for his overall thoughts, he said that this is just a lazy way for people to make money, and it's pretty laughable. He thinks that they shouldn't be able to call themselves content creators since they're just stealing from other people. However, on the other side of things, you can't really blame them because it's easy money, which I think is definitely a fair opinion. A lot of people, if they see an easy situation to make money despite the morality surrounding it, they would definitely jump on that situation. So, Sicknerd's overall thoughts, surprisingly, despite being a streamer, seem to kind of fall in line with a lot of the other content creators. He's not okay with these people taking his content without asking permission, but he doesn't feel like it affects him nearly as much since he doesn't really have his own YouTube channel, although he does now, but he doesn't really make his own, I guess, progress videos. It's more so just highlights. So his own videos are basically just highlights of his stream. So moving on to the next member of the community, as you can already see on your screen, this man is a very prominent member of both the high-level skilling and high-level PVM communities. His name is Zulu. I'm sure you guys have heard of him before. Let's get right into his responses. So right off the bat, we already have a bit of a difference with Zulu's responses than other people. He said when he was included in these videos and didn't want to, he actually asked people to take it down, and they listened and took it down, which from my experience is pretty abnormal because whenever I asked, these people didn't really seem to do that. So good for him if that actually happened. That's fantastic. Well, back to the status quo. The creator of the video did not ask permission to use his content. It does very much so bother him, so much so that he actually did go and threaten to file a copyright claim against that person, but they removed the video before the claim went through. He's aware that these channels are making a lot of money and thinks they shouldn't be, probably for similar reasons as what Sicknerd did earlier, because they're kind of just stealing content. Zulu also said he felt like these channels don't really create a positive environment if you are a streamer who also does YouTube, but if you're a streamer alone, then they probably could. And his overall thoughts are simply, he just wishes they would ask permission, and if they did, they would be a lot better off. So similar to what a lot of other people have said so far. It doesn't so much seem like he's bothered that people are using his clips, it's that they're doing it without permission, making a lot of money off him, and not really providing an adequate source of advertisement for his channel for what they're doing, or not adding their own creative spin to the things that they're doing. Alright, last but certainly not least is Mr. GuidesForUsAll. Now, I don't know him on a personal level, but he's a fantastic YouTuber, so much so that I've binge-watched all of his series, even the RS3 ones. So, he is a fantastic YouTuber in that sense. Let's get right into his responses. He went a bit more in depth than some other people did, so I look forward to sharing this with you guys. So, right off the bat, Guides told me that he was aware of these channels and had even watched a few videos by them, just probably to check out if his content was included and how it was included, which he has been included in some of these videos, needless to mention. And as for the permission situation, not only had he not been asked for permission in that instance, but not in any of the instances that he'd been used in these videos had he ever been asked for permission. And it bothers him, and this is where I got pretty happy here because someone else looked into the laws like I did. It bothered him because he said any channel using your work for non-transformative content should require permission, as that is what copyright law dictates. So I was surprised to see that he hadn't actually filed a copyright claim against any of these channels, but his reasoning made a lot of sense. He felt that it wasn't really worth the time because they can just easily create another channel, and there's so many RS highlight channels that are doing this that even if you take down one of them, the other ones will probably just pick up the slack. As with most other people, Guides was also aware of how much these channels were making and felt that it was an unfortunate situation that they were making that much. But his response to this was pretty interesting. When I asked him about the advertisement situation regarding the highlight channels, he said that even though he feels like some people might gain viewers, the vast majority of people won't really look into anyone's channel after seeing that clip. And from his personal experience, since as he mentioned earlier, he does sometimes watch some of these highlight videos, he has never really looked into any of the streamers or YouTubers he's seen clips from, and I think that that's the general theme, is that a lot of people don't do that. They tend to just watch the highlight and then move on because they don't really care for the actual person. They just like that one little snippet. So Guides went out of his way for his overall thoughts as well to give me a big list, and I really respect this. He said he'd be fine with these channels if they did one or more of the following things. For starters, they would have to ask for permission to use all of the clips and didn't use anything without the original content creator's permission. Secondly, they would offer the people highlighted in the video a small percentage of the revenue made as an incentive for those people to continue allowing them to use their clips. Or C, or thirdly, did not monetize their own content and did it strictly as a fan service while taking down clips at the request of the original content creator if the original content creator didn't want their clips to be spoiled in such a way. He also went on to summarize that he thinks that these people don't really add their own aspect to anything. They just take the work of others, throw it in a movie maker, and make a profit off of it in a way that also ignores the original copyright that creators hold on their own content. It's not only against the law and unethical, but it's just unneeded in the YouTube and Twitch community. So, without a doubt, Guides is pretty passionately against these channels, and rightly so, as he has played plenty of other games, and I'm sure that this isn't just a problem that's in the RuneScape community. As a matter of fact, I know that there are highlight channels and tons of other games. I just know that in the RuneScape community specifically is where the copy-pasting of clips and then re-uploading without adding anything original to it seems to be the most prevalent. So, thank you as well, Guides, for your responses, especially because you went way more into depth than a lot of people did, so thank you for that, man. Well, that is it. That is every person that I talked to. I obviously would have loved to get the opinions of tons more people as well, but I wasn't able to. So I think that, in conclusion, I kind of want to sum everything up where I heard this from some people. I'm not going to mention names, but I also want to throw my own 2 cents in. In the end, it really does come down to the viewer. The highlight channels are doing what most people would do. They're just jumping at the opportunity to make quick and easy money with really minimal effort. Now, that being said, if the viewers know that it negatively affects the content creators, or how the content creators feel negatively about it, it would be great if the viewers would just wait until the video comes out from the person they'd want to support instead of the highlight channel. Now, that being said, I know that the argument that you can't watch every stream and whatnot, it would be crazy to expect you guys to watch every stream from every content creator that you support, since especially in the RuneScape community, there are so many big content creators that make fantastic content. But that being said, you can watch the clips on their channel on Twitch if you really can't wait, instead of supporting the people that could be potentially hurting the growth of these channels that you guys like and support so much. Now, one more time, I'm going to go ahead and ask that you guys check out all of the Twitter handles of everyone who's on your screen right now. All these people really helped me by answering questions for this video, and it means a lot that they took time out of the day to do so. And once again, to those of you wondering why I didn't do voice interviews with all these people, they're all busy. I mean, like, a lot of these people are very popular YouTubers and streamers, and I didn't want to take too much time out of their day to ask them a couple questions that could have easily just been asked over text. But regardless, make sure you check them all out. I'll also put links in the description to all of their Twitch channels if they are primarily streamers, or YouTube channels if they are primarily YouTubers, or both if they do both. So there's going to be a hell of a lot of links in the description for you guys to check out. If you don't know any of these people, you really should, because they all make fantastic content. But that being said, we are finally at the end of this video. One, I'm sorry this video is so long, although I'm sure some people will find it interesting enough to watch the whole thing, and if you do, thank you very much. Make sure you leave a like and all that fun stuff. But, you know, a lot of real life stuff's come up that's made me want to not really work on this video too much. One, just motivation, because it is such a difficult video to get responses from everybody and whatnot. But also, I just got married, so, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys who are already familiar with my channel know that, but that kind of comes before making a side video for my channel. So, if you guys enjoyed this, really make sure, the best thing you guys can do if you want to help this is just listen to the advice of the people in here. Check out their channels. Check out the rest of my channel. If you enjoyed this video or you want to see the content that I have to provide, make sure you like and comment. Leave your responses to the questions if you're interested. Maybe if you've had a run-in, if you're a content creator yourself, if you've had a run-in with these highlight channels or anything unique, feel free to share your stories. I'd love to hear them. So, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, click the little bell if you are new and would like to see notifications for more of my videos, because I upload at least one video a week, sometimes two. So I will see you guys all in the next video that I upload. Thank you so much for watching, especially those of you who made it this far in the video, and peace out.